Woven into every chapter of the work we are about to explore is a profound secret for achieving success. It is the very principle that was responsible for the vast fortunes of more than 500 of the wealthiest individuals of their time men, whose lives and careers the author Napoleon Hill meticulously analyzed over a long period of years. This powerful secret was first brought to his attention by the legendary industrialist Andrew Carnegie, more than a quarter of a century before the book's original publication. The wise and charismatic Scotsman casually presented this idea to Mr. Hill, who was then just a young man. With a knowing twinkle in his eye, Carnegie then leaned back and watched intently to see if the young man possessed the insight to grasp the full significance of what he had just been told. When he saw that the idea had been understood, Carnegie proposed a life-defining mission. He asked if Mr. Hill would be willing to dedicate the next 20 years, or even more, to preparing this philosophy for the world. The goal was to share it with men and women who, without this guiding principle, might journey through life without realizing their full potential. Mr. Hill accepted this profound responsibility, and with Andrew Carnegie's cooperation, he faithfully kept his promise. This book contains that very secret, validated and tested by thousands of people from nearly every walk of life. It was Carnegie's vision that this powerful formula, which had built his own stupendous fortune, should be made accessible to everyone, especially those who don't have the time to investigate for themselves how great achievers think and operate. He hoped that the author might test and demonstrate the soundness of this philosophy through the real-world experiences of ordinary people in every profession. Carnegie was convinced that this principle should be taught in all public schools and colleges. He expressed the firm opinion that if it were taught properly, it would revolutionize the entire educational system, so much so that the time spent in school could be cut by more than half. His own experience with brilliant young associates like Charles Schwab convinced Mr. Carnegie that much of what is taught in conventional schooling has little practical application in the real-world business of earning a living or building wealth. He reached this conclusion after bringing one young man after another into his business, many with very little formal education. By coaching them in the use of this specific formula, he cultivated in them a rare and powerful leadership. More than that, his guidance created fortunes for every one of them who diligently followed his instructions. In a later chapter on faith, you will discover the incredible story of how the giant United States Steel Corporation was formed. It was conceived and brought to life by one of those very young men, through whom Carnegie proved that his formula will work for anyone who is ready for it. That single application of the secret by Charles M. Schwab generated for him a massive fortune in both money and opportunity, a result valued in those days at roughly $600 million. These facts, which are well known to almost anyone familiar with Andrew Carnegie's life, give you a clear idea of what reading this book can bring to you, provided you truly know what it is that you want. Even before the 20 years of testing were complete, this secret was shared with over 100,000 men and women who used it for their own personal benefit, just as Carnegie had intended. Some created great fortunes with it. Others applied it successfully to bring harmony and purpose into their homes. One clergyman used it so effectively that it helped him generate an income of over $75,000 a year, a staggering sum at the time. A Cincinnati tailor named Arthur Nash used his struggling, near-bankrupt business as a testing ground for the formula. The business was revitalized, turning into a thriving enterprise that made a fortune for its owners. The story of this turnaround was so unique that newspapers and magazines gave it more than $1 million worth of positive publicity. The secret was also passed on to a man from Dallas, Texas, named Stuart Austin Weir. He was so ready for it that he gave up his profession to study law. His story of success is also told within these pages. On the day he graduated from college, The author gave the secret to Jennings Randolph, who used it so successfully that he went on to serve multiple terms as a member of Congress, with his sights set on even higher offices. While serving as an executive at the LaSalle Extension University, the author had the privilege of seeing its president, J.G. Chaplin, use the formula so effectively that he transformed LaSalle into one of the great distance learning institutions in the country. The secret we are referring to is mentioned no fewer than 100 times throughout this book. However, it is never directly named. It seems to work most powerfully when it is not simply given, but discovered when it is left in plain sight, where those who are ready and actively searching can recognize it for themselves. This is precisely why Andrew Carnegie introduced it to a young Napoleon Hill so quietly, without giving it a specific label. If you are ready to put this principle to use, you will recognize it at least once in every chapter. To be told how you will know if you are ready would be to deprive you of the immense benefit that comes from making the discovery in your own way, through your own seeking. As this very book was being written, the author's own son, then finishing his final year of college, read the manuscript for the second chapter and discovered the secret for himself. He immediately applied the knowledge so effectively that he stepped directly into a responsible position with a starting salary greater than what most people earn after years of work. His story is described briefly in Chapter 2. When you read it, perhaps you will dismiss any feeling you may have that this book promises too much. And if you have ever been discouraged, if you have faced difficulties that tested the very fiber of your being, if you have tried and failed, or if you have ever been held back by physical affliction, the story of his son's discovery and use of the Carnegie formula may prove to be the oasis in the desert of lost hope for which you have been searching. This secret was even used on a national scale by President Woodrow Wilson during the First World War. It was embedded in the training given to every soldier before going to the front, and President Wilson himself told the author that it was a powerful factor in raising the funds needed for the war effort. A peculiar and wonderful thing about this secret is that those who acquire and use it find themselves swept toward success with what seems like little effort, and they never again submit to failure. If you doubt this, study the names of those who have used it. Check their records for yourself, and you will be convinced. But let there be no misunderstanding. There is no such thing as something for nothing. The secret cannot be had without a price. Although the price is far less than its value, it cannot be obtained by those who are not intentionally searching for it. It cannot be given away freely, nor can it be purchased with money for a simple reason. It comes in two parts. One part is already in the possession of every person who is truly ready for it. This principle serves all who are prepared for it, regardless of their level of education. Long before the author was born, the secret was understood by Thomas A. Edison, who used it so intelligently that he became the world's leading inventor, despite having only 3 months of formal schooling. It was then passed to one of his business associates, who applied it so effectively that he turned $12,000 a year income into a great fortune and retired from business as a young man. You will find his story at the beginning of the first chapter. It should convince you that riches are not beyond your reach and that you can still become what you wish to be. That prosperity, recognition, and peace of mind can be attained by all who are ready and determined to have these blessings. How can one be so certain of these things? The answer will become clear before you finish this book. You may find it in the very first chapter or on the final page. During the 20-year task of research undertaken at Mr. Carnegie's request, the author analyzed hundreds of well-known leaders. Many of them openly admitted that they had built their vast fortunes through the aid of the Carnegie secret. Among these men were titans of industry, innovation, and leadership, such as Henry Ford William Wrigley Jr., John Wanamaker James J. Hill George S. Parker E. M. Statler George Eastman, Theodore Roosevelt, Charles Schwab, John D. Rockefeller, Thomas A. Edison, F. Woolworth, Woodrow Wilson Drive, Alexander Graham Bell, and many, many others. These names represent only a small fraction of the hundreds of prominent Americans whose achievements prove that those who understand and apply this secret reach high stations in life. The author noted that he never knew anyone who was inspired to use the secret who did not achieve noteworthy success in their chosen calling. Conversely, he never knew any person who achieved great distinction or accumulated riches of any consequence without possessing the secret. From this, we can draw a powerful conclusion. This secret is more essential for self-determination and achievement than any knowledge one receives through what is commonly called education. Many of these men had very little schooling. John Wanamaker once mentioned that he acquired his education, much like a steam locomotive takes on water by scooping it up as it runs. Henry Ford never even reached high school. The point is not to diminish the value of schooling, but to express the earnest belief that those who master and apply this secret will reach high stations, accumulate wealth, and engage with life on their own terms, even if their formal education has been modest. Somewhere, as you read, the secret to which we refer will leap from the page and stand boldly before you if you are ready for it. When it appears, you will recognize it. Whether you receive this insight in the first chapter or the last, pause for a moment when it presents itself. Acknowledge that moment, for it will mark the most important turning point of your life. We now turn to chapter 1, and to the story of a man who generously acknowledged seeing this sign for himself, and whose business achievements are proof enough that he understood its power. As you read his story and the others that follow, remember that they deal with the fundamental challenges of life that all people experience: the endeavor to earn a living, to find hope and courage, to accumulate wealth, and to enjoy freedom of body and spirit. Remember, too, that this work deals with fact, not fiction. Its purpose is to convey a great, universal truth through which all who are ready may learn not only what to do, but also how to do it, and receive the needed stimulus to begin. As a final word of preparation, may we offer one brief suggestion that provides a clue by which the Carnegie secret may be recognized? It is this: all achievement, all earned riches have their beginning in an idea. If you are ready for the secret, you already possess one half of it. Therefore, you will readily recognize the other half the moment it reaches your mind. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. Matthew 6:33. May the Lord bless you and guide you in every good work.